and the professor in the class, I was upset. So that's an experience that I wish I would have had, and you can't go back in time and get things back. But I'm definitely going to be that kind of parent. Like, listen, there are only so many times you're going to be able to celebrate. And since I am such a sports fan, I don't have a problem with that. I think my kids would have, relatively good attendance, like perfect attendance, the rest of the time. But if there's something big and monumental that I can, make memories for them for, I would definitely do that. So things like, winning the Super Bowl and going to the parade, even though it's cold outside, whatever. I don't know about pulling them out of school for the home opener. Maybe towards the end of this season, and if they make it to the playoffs, and if it's the World Series, that kind of stuff. But not just a regular game on like a Wednesday or something at noon. You're gonna go to school. It's not that serious. And MLB, there are like 162 games in a season. So there, the importance really comes later on in the season when you realize, what your playoff, standing is. And that's when games for me actually become important. It's not like, I would say in the MLB, 162 games, there's so many different ways things can go. The pitching order, injuries, the disabled list. There's just so much that can happen in 162 games that it's hard to freak out when the Yankees start the season with a couple of losses. And I know people already did that. The Mets the same way. 0-3, 0-4, people are up in arms. I don't have that kind of energy. There are 155 more games left. I can't freak out. It's not like basketball. Well, basketball is like somewhere in between, I would say, because 162 games for MLB. NBA, it's 82 games. So you kind of don't really start worrying about things like that unless the team goes on like unless you're the Philadelphia 76ers and you go on like a 25, 26 game losing streak. That's when you you start getting worried when it's anything over like 3, 4, 5 games, especially if you do have playoff aspirations. But the 76ers really were not the team for that anyway, so nobody really cared when they were losing game after game. The players cared. I think the fan base, that's one thing that I did want to do, actually. Kind of, maybe it's always interesting because here in New York, like, we focus on the Knicks, we kind of throw a little props the way of the Nets, but the Philadelphia 76ers are right there. Philly's not only, Philly's just a couple hours away from here. I wonder how 76ers fans were reacting to that. And it's not like the 76ers have been, like a mainstay and have, been making the playoffs and a team to reckon with in the NBA. They're actually quite the opposite. So I wonder how upset their fan base could have been, considering the fact that their recent history really doesn't provide you with much hope for this season or even for next season. Lottery. They're just hoping for high draft picks at this point. But like I said, in the NFL though, only 16 games in a 17-week season. Every single game counts. And that's why football fans are as emotionally invested as they are in each and every single game that their team plays. Because an 8-8 team can make the playoffs. An 8-8 team can win the Super Bowl. It's even interesting to look at the NBA. If you look at the West, all the teams that are, the top 8, top 10, top 11 teams even are over 500 in the West. On the East, it's like the top 3, 4 teams are over 500. Everyone else is like terrible. And you look at some of the teams that are ranked 9th and 10th and 11th in the West, and they should be in the playoffs. They should be in the playoffs, considering, who they have to go up against. We don't find that. We don't find that in the East. It's really just the Miami Heat and the Indiana Pacers. And then everyone else could just do what they want to do. Doesn't even matter whatever else happens. I don't know, it's kind of crazy for me. Anyway, so we'll have our eyes on Derek Jeter this season, and excuse me. I think this season will be interesting too because, like I said, he is up there in age. He's not going to play every single game. There's going to be like regular rest that he's going to have. And it always sucks for the people who, plan ahead. You take a day off work, you buy your tickets in advance, you're all excited, you drive out to the game or you get on the bus, you make a trip, whatever, to see a certain team play. And especially if you're going to see a guy who's going to be retiring at the end of this season, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer, like Derek Jeter, who's meant so much to baseball. And I don't want to say he single-handedly carried the game, but if you're a huge baseball fan, then of course you have other names that you can mention that you'd be happy, that have actually had a great impact on the game and on the league. But if you're just a casual fan, and maybe not even a fan, just a casual observer, if you watch the news or if you read the paper, there are only but so many names that you see and that you'll recognize, and people that you could pick out of a lineup and he plays baseball. At least you get to see their faces. In football, it's a little bit different. You got to pay a little bit more attention. But in baseball, who's more recognizable right now than Derek Jeter? Maybe you guys can tell me. Oh, I don't know if I gave you the number. If you're interested in calling up and joining the conversation, which is usually just me talking to you guys, but I enjoy it either way. I love getting on here. I think it's because I also like the sound of my own voice. That's not bad. That's not a bad thing to say. I do. I like talking. I love the fact that I can come here and I can share information with you guys. So that's fun for me. I enjoy it. Anyway, if you do want to call in, the number is 212-650-6903. Again, that's 212-650-6903. So yeah, we'll be watching Derek Jeter all season. Like I was saying, you pack your stuff, you take your day off work, you pull your kids out of school, make sure they have all their homework done. You get to Yankee Stadium, and Derek Jeter is not playing because he's on the DL or they're just giving him regular rest. I'd be upset. I'd be highly upset if I did all that and paid that money. And, and people will say stuff like, oh, pay all that money to go to games. There are some ways that you can go, certain websites. And if you do things like right before the game or well in advance, you can find tickets that are reasonably priced. But even all of that, to get there and to have your favorite player or like the main reason why you're going to not play is annoying. Even it kind of reminds me of the San Antonio Spurs when they rest some of their starters like Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. Hi, welcome to WHCR. What's your name and where you calling from?
This is Brian calling from the Bronx.
Hey, Brian.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Not bad. I'm wondering, where are the accolades? Oh, yeah. Speaking of Derek Jeter, if you notice, people of note are no longer retiring at an old age. Well, their carry-out age. Put it that way. For example, the Pope.
Okay.
That job, they carry you out.
Yeah.
You don't retire.
Yeah.
But this cat right here, homeboy said, I'm sorry. I'm out. Pick another one. I'm walking out.
Yep.
So a lot of these cats are retiring to enjoy their life. Who is the oldest player in sports? If you notice, you don't really have those old players in sports anymore.
No, you don't. And I agree with you on that. It used to be to the point where, they're going to have to carry me off the field or off the court.
Exactly.
And I think at this point, too, what we're realizing a lot more of is kind of like the mortality of players. And you don't want to be that guy who's playing for too long. You don't want to be that guy who everyone's like, wow, he really should have hung it up like 2 years ago, but he's still swinging. So players are really, and also being mindful of your body and the wear and tear that, playing 16 years in Major League Baseball, 162 games a season, not even including the postseason. That's a lot of work on a human body. And for some people, it's not worth, literally being carted off. And for Derek Jeter getting up there in age, breaking his ankle, dealing with injuries over the past couple of seasons, it's enough for him.
Exactly.
And some people want to go out on top.
Exactly. And unhurt. That's why after a while, just like you said, these players start to break down. Mm-hmm. Folks, don't get mad at them. They're human. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen if you stay, like you said, which is true, if you stay too long.
Yeah, and I have respect for guys who do that. Because I feel like sometimes we look at players, like even even on the flip side, I was talking just a little bit right as you were calling. A team like the San Antonio Spurs and their head coach Greg Popovich, and he'll rest some of the older players and their main starters and put in that secondary lineup, and they'll start the games because they realize the postseason is more important than some of the games in between. They'll get some rest. You have a guy like Ray Lewis who just retired recently. He was getting up there in age, but he was still contributing while he was on the field. But people are hanging it up at an age where they realize, listen, I don't want to be that guy where they're literally looking at you like, hey, grandpa, there's really no need for you to be putting your body through this, and you're not contributing, you're not being helpful. Like, you might as well just leave. You can
exactly,
take,
and there's a life after this. Just like you said with Ray Lewis. He's still in, relatively good shape.
Oh, yeah. He's in better shape than most people.
Yeah, but he realized, I'm going out on top.
Mm-hmm.
There's no better time than now.
Yeah. And with the Super Bowl ring, please.
Yeah, and you know what I wanted to... I've been meaning to bring this up because I know at the time you used to shout this guy out like crazy, and that's the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks,
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, my question is, where is this dude's accolades? Where is his parade? Never mind the team. Where is his parade? Where's his boxes of cereal?
He wasn't on the Wheaties box?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. They usually play this up. I mean, Menzel is Menziel. He's getting
Johnny
more.
Manziel, yeah.
He's getting more press than this dude. Do you, look, HCR listeners, do you have any idea what this cat accomplished?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Geno Smith wish he had half the talent this cat has? This cat did it in 2 years out of Pampers.
Yeah.
He did it in 2 years. That doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. People taking it for granted. It doesn't happen in sports. You don't just come out of college and then win the championship.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen in sports. I don't care who pick a sport. It doesn't happen. I'm wondering, where is this dude? Where are the talk shows? Where are the battle for his contract? Where are the people? Where are the sponsors breaking down his door? Where are they?
You know what it is, too? You mentioned Johnny Manziel, and the thing about Johnny Manziel is that his attitude precedes him. You know what I mean? There are the talks of how boisterous he is, how much he talks, his demeanor. Even instances
Deion
of him,
Sanders commented on it.
Yeah, even instances of him going to certain parties and doing stuff like that. Like his
hanging out with Drake.
Exactly. His reputation precedes him, and that's not necessarily what you want either. But he is a great talent. People talk about his height and how it's going to translate into the NFL. We'll see when that comes. But like you said, he's getting more hype than a guy like Russell Wilson. The thing about Wilson...
That's impossible. He hasn't even shown improved.
Exactly. The thing about Wilson, though, is that he doesn't necessarily have that personality either. He's not that loud, kind of boisterous guy. He is kind of low-key. And don't forget, too, that he plays in a relatively small market. Even though Seattle is a, great place, and they talk about that 12th man and how loud the arenas get, and they create many earthquakes, it's still a relatively small market. We have another caller. WHCR, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Will from Uptown.
Hey, Will from Uptown. We have Brian on the line as well. We're getting into Russell Wilson and how he's not as hyped up as some other quarterbacks after doing what he did as far as winning the Super Bowl. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm with him, but I wanted to answer this question. Two guys did do it. Bill Russell did it, and Magic Johnson did it. Came out of college, and both guys won championships. So it has been done before.
Right, it was a long time ago. Yeah.
It's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
But both of them walked out of the door as freshmen and did it, and there hasn't been anybody for a long time until this guy came up. And his father went to Russell Wilson. His father went to Dartmouth, and so he comes from a pretty good crop. He's a real smart guy. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's the reason why they're not giving him his accolades, because he doesn't fit the stereotype.
Not
the
only
only
does he
thing
not,
is that and as the host pointed out, she pointed out the same thing, that he's a reserve cat. That doesn't matter. The thing is that the dude did what he did.
I think he gets props as far as analysts and real hardcore fans are concerned. But like I said, Seattle is still a relatively small market. Nobody's really out there like that. And Russell Wilson's personality doesn't lend to having him in commercials. I mean, even if you compare him with a guy like RG3 is in the news because of kind of the way he plays and whatnot. But he has seemingly more of a personality, more of an outgoing personality. He has more of the endorsements, even though he doesn't have that ring to go along with it. I mean, I just think Russell Wilson is not... Even if you compare him to a guy like Tom Brady doesn't have all the personality either, but everyone thought he was handsome. He came out, like gangbusters when he started playing in the league, and his name and his face just kind of stayed up there. Russell Wilson is going to have to do a little bit more. Wow. And it sounds crazy, but he's going to have to do a little bit more than just win one Super Bowl. And I even feel stupid saying that. I feel stupid saying that. I know.
Well, you're great.
But it's going to take a little bit more. And I think even at the start of this season, what has to happen is, you have to talk to, it's not just Russell Wilson as a person. Where's his PR team? He has to have the people behind him pushing his face out there, because it's one of those things. You don't want him to fall by the wayside. You don't want people to forget that he's the one who helped lead that team to a championship. And sometimes, like you were saying, coming into the league, a rookie or, your first couple years in the league, it's hard to win like that. But you also come into already established teams with... Hello?
Yes.
Hello? Oh. WHCR?
Yeah.
Okay, you're still here.
I'm still here.
Okay. You don't necessarily come into the league, I'm sorry, and win like that, but you're coming into well-established teams. Like in the NFL, there are years of drafts and trades and, defensive schemes and, offense. There's just so much that goes on before you insert a capable quarterback like Russell Wilson, because even last year, Russell Wilson played really well, but it was that defense really that everyone was so hype about. Even if you look at a guy like Mark Sanchez, even when the Jets were making it to 2 straight back-to-back AFC championship games, his job was to manage the game, just not to lose the game for the Jets. And he didn't play poorly necessarily, but he wasn't the main reason why they made it that far. They had a good running game. They had a solid defense. You know what I mean?
Come on, Chichi. If the guy from the Giants can be the main reason why they winning and losing, so could Russell Wilson.
Who, Eli Manning?
Yeah, Eli Manning. If he could be the main guy when they win, so Russell Wilson could be that well. And he's a very well-spoken guy. And you would think, particularly with corporate America, that he would appeal to them because he's a normal-sized person in a league where most of the guys in the league are very, 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 very tough men. I don't know who's tougher than a football player except for maybe a boxer. But they are some
Rugby.
tough guys. And, who?
Rugby.
Rugby, yeah, but we don't have that here.
Yeah, nobody
you're
cares.
right.
Yeah.
They're all on the same list on one hand, but when you get a guy that looks like Russell Wilson, that has the comportment of a Russell Wilson, who has a look and who's a normal-sized person, I think the other caller is right. He's pretty extraordinary, just his package, let alone going on. Even if you minimize what he does on the field, okay, cut it down, curve it, or anything you want to do, it's still pretty hard to be, based upon what you said earlier, it's still pretty hard to be an NFL quarterback, let alone a winner.
Of course. And that's what I'm saying, too. Part of that has to be the people that he has behind him. Who's his PR team? Are they pushing him? What are his endorsement deals? Are they really trying to capitalize on what he was able to accomplish this past season? Because not only, and my thing, too, like the caller was saying, like Brian was saying, I am a fan of Russell Wilson.
Me too.
Over the past couple of years, we've had this crop of young quarterbacks coming into the league and playing at a very high level, and it's kind of become the norm. Like, that's why I think people were so hard on Geno Smith. If this was like maybe 5-10 years ago, when players were literally coming out of college and playing really well, then everyone would have given him a little bit more time. But the success of the early success of a Mark Sanchez, of a little bit of an RG3, of Andrew Luck, those kinds of guys who come in and play well from the very start. Geno Smith didn't have that ability. He didn't have the chance to really kind of ease his way into the league. And what I don't want to happen for Russell Wilson is for people to forget, one, that he is still so young, two, that he's a young black man doing his thing. I support him for doing what it do, and I support him just for that alone. And I think it would be great to see him, a lot more. But of course, right now, what month? April. We're not really talking much football. We're not dealing with football, but you would hope that when the season starts, his name and his face are out there a lot more. For his own sake, he has to be able to capitalize on this. Because if for some reason, God forbid, he gets hurt, the team doesn't play as well next season, Seattle's not where we would expect them to be, then he goes down with the team. And then we don't hear as much about Russell Wilson. So you have to capitalize when your name is out there and your face is out there and your Super Bowl ring is still shining and glistening and the confetti is still coming down from the sky. This is the time for him.
Well, Brian, I think the guy Brian, the other call, that's his name.
Yeah.
I think he brought up a great point because I don't think anybody has really thought that through about how Russell Wilson has seemingly they're talking more about Deshaun Jackson than anything else, as if that means, I don't know if you talked about that, as if that means anything because he made some goofy gestures with his hand. What kind of crap is that?
Yeah, hold on one second.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
I'm glad you brought up Deshaun Jackson because for me, the only reason why we're talking about Deshaun Jackson is because of all the drama behind him. It's not as if Russell Wilson is... It's not as if Russell Wilson is doing anything right now. You know what I mean? Like we haven't heard his name because it's not football season. Deshaun Jackson though, even though he's a great player and was in Philly for quite some time, there were issues behind his behaviors, his actions. He was kind of boisterous. He was kind of out there. I have no problem with what he did, but it was the gang affiliation, and I don't even think that was as much of a big deal as Philly tried to make it seem. I think they just didn't want to pay him that money. That story came out. They planted
there you
it.
Go.
Yeah, they just didn't want to pay him the money because they knew about his associates or whatever. And I don't even like saying gang affiliation because he just knows people who happen to do other stuff.
So what? Yeah, so what? And look, I'm watching you, and you got on your sunglasses. I don't think you're familiar with nobody.
Yeah, I know. What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean right there? I mean, you inside with your sunglasses. You look pretty cool to me.
I'm fly. No. I just think the Eagles just didn't want to pay him the money. When it was under Andy Reid was able to stomach some of the stuff that Deshaun Jackson was doing. Chip Kelly is not and doesn't want him on the team anymore. And that's fine. That's all well and good if you don't want him there. But to try and then plant that story, put it out at a time when teams are actually going to come after him and kind of mess with his money like that. I thought that was ridiculous. It was mean-spirited. It was cold-hearted. And that's why as soon as they let him go, other teams right on top of him, they weren't buying it either.
Yeah, right. You know what's funny? He was on ESPN with Stephen A. Smith. Yeah. And in that interview, Stephen A. Smith asked him, what did Chip, whatever his face name is, what did they say to you? What was the reason? He said he's still waiting to hear it.
Well, he's gonna wait for forever then.
Yeah, he said they kept saying we're going another way. So you're right. It lends credence to the notion that they just put that out there because they wanted to do something else.
Yeah, and it's fine. It's all well and good if you want to move on from him. And then they brought up stuff. He was a little cantankerous in the locker room, was late for some meetings. Whatever. Your star players, and I'm not saying they should be treated differently, but we all know that they are. So,
football, you get paid for what you do on the field, not for what you do in the locker room. If you walk in there with a gun or something.
Yeah.
Other than that, nobody cares what you do in the locker room.
And he wasn't doing that. So for that story to come out when it did, considering the fact it just seemed like the Eagles were just being very mean-spirited, underhanded, and like dirty and sneaky, and no good comes to those. I'm sorry, is your radio on or is your If you turn down that volume, no good comes to people who do stuff like that. And it's interesting, too, because Deshaun Jackson didn't leave. He's still in the NFC. I'm sorry, is your radio up?
No, I don't think so. Hold on.
Okay. I'm hearing a little feedback. Okay. Still there.
You still hear the noise? You're not coming from here, then.
Okay. Well, that's better. Yeah, he's still in the NFC East, so he's still he's playing for the Washington Redskins now. He's with RG3, which will be an interesting matchup because I'm sure, they're going to talk. And RG3 went after him. So did D'Angelo Hall when they found out he was a free agent. They courted him. They said, we want you on this team. And you know what? The Washington Redskins play the Philadelphia Eagles 2 times next season. And I hope, for his sake, that Deshaun Jackson blazes them both times.
So, Chichi, let me just ask you a question. One last question.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think about Snyder, the owner, who cut the check when it counted?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to know because I know last time we were talking about cutting the check.
Right.
You was giving me the business, but
no, that one was a little bit different though because
you're right.
But in this case, it's true. Like do you want to win? And do you believe the story that's coming from the Philadelphia Eagles when it's time for them to let him go? It's like when you break up with somebody or somebody breaks up with you. Like, okay, let's say we're in a relationship. Okay, well, we're in a relationship for like 5 years, right? Wow. I break it off with you, and then you go around town telling everybody that I'm no good, I was never good to you, I smell bad, I don't brush my teeth, I can't cook. It's like, well, wait a minute, you were with me for 5 years. Like, I must have been doing something good. It can't all be bad, and it can't all be my fault. You know what I mean? Like, there's some like mean-spirited, underhanded type sneaky stuff coming from that Philadelphia Eagles organization. And not only did they let Deshaun Jackson go, they they weren't necessarily hyped to re-sign Michael Vick, and he's now with the Jets, and that'll be a whole nother situation on its own. Every single season, the Jets start with something. If it's not Brett Favre, then it's Tim Tebow, and then it's Mark Sanchez going down and then bringing in a rookie who they will spend the entire season denying that he's actually even the starting quarterback. Then they bring in Michael Vick. I mean, you can't get past this team. This Jets team is something else.
Well, they need they need their own reality show. Then
I would love it.
Yeah, I would too.
Where's Hard Knocks when you need them, right?
Well, I've been looking at the basketball wives, so I'm just saying.
that's enough drama for everybody, though.
Thank you. I'm just saying. You're getting the full dose right there. Okay, TG, I'm going.
All right, thanks, Will.
Anytime.
All right, guys. WHCR 90.3 FM, the official voice of Harlem. I'm gonna play a little bit. Oh, somebody's calling. Do me a favor, just hang up and call back in just a couple of minutes, if you will, please. Just a couple of a little station business to get to before we finish up the show. WHCR is having a fundraising party. Who wants to come and party with WHCR and kick it with us? And it does involve some money, but it's not the kind you think. So keep your ears open. I'm going to play some information that I think you guys need to hear. Some stuff that's going on around the community. Some like public service stuff that I think we should all be aware of. I'm a big proponent of not drinking while you're driving or driving while you're drinking. I guess both. And texting while driving. That's just, I don't know. It's one thing when you're walking down the street and inebriated or texting or whatever. That's still relatively dangerous. But to be behind the wheel, I think it's an epidemic these days. So I do want you guys to be a little more careful. So keep your radio locked here. The last one I'm going to play for you guys is our fundraiser. So I'll give you the date, the time, the address, the location, and we can all get together and party. I can't wait. You guys excited? All right. Come back. We have a few minutes left in the show, and we'll finish it up probably with some NCAA basketball. Ooh, tonight we have the finals. We have UConn versus Kentucky. We'll talk about a 7 versus an 8. Who imagined that? Not me. Keep it locked. WHCR 90.3 FM. Sports at the half. I'm Chi-Chi.
Don't touch that dial. Keep it locked on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem.
Divas Beauty Salon has moved. Divas Beauty Salon, a team of professional Dominican hairstylists with more than 10 years of experience in Harlem, has moved to the Bronx. Recently renovated for your convenience and better service, the salon offers a full range of services, including wash and sets, wash and blow dry, relaxers with deep conditioning, touch-ups, semi and permanent color, haircuts, and more. Divas Beauty Salon, located at 670 East 161st Street between Codwell and Trinity Avenues in the Bronx. Open 7 days a week for your convenience, Monday through Saturday 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sundays 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. For more information, call 718-286-5600 718-292-0055. That's 718-292-0055. Remember, at Divas Beauty Salon, we value your time. We're not here to waste it.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Nurse, set up an IV. And you, her boyfriend. You were the driver?
Yes, doctor, but I didn't mean to hurt her. I only had a few drinks. I was just buzzed.
Just buzzed? Oh, then your girlfriend is fine.
Hey, sweetie. I feel great.
She's really okay?
What are you kidding? No, not really. Nurse, get me a suture kit. Stat.
Buzzed driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
WHCR is doing it again, giving you the opportunity to show your support while having a great time. On Saturday, April 12th from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., WHCR's house DJs come together to bring you a house party like no other. You decide how much you want to pay to party. That's right, you decide your admission. Grab your dancing shoes, your whistle, and your donation, and dance to the sounds of house music by WHCR's DJ Little Tiger of Impulse Travels, DJ Andre Collins of Universal Love of House Music, and DJ Justice of the Flavor Zone. That's Saturday, April 12th, 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. at Farafina Cafe and Lounge, located at 1819 Amsterdam Avenue at 150th Street. Remember, your financial support ensures that some of the best music, most informative, and educational programs continue to be heard on this station.
Swagger like us, swagger like us. No one on the corner has swagger like us. Swagger like us, swagger like us. No one on the corner has swagger like us. Swagger like us, swagger like us. No one on the corner has swagger like us. Swagger like us, swagger like us. No one on the corner has swagger like us. Swagger like us, swagger like us.
Hey guys. Welcome back to WHCR 90.3 FM, the official voice of Harlem. I'm your host, Chichi Encore, and we have a caller. Let's get that started first. WHCR, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Chichi, this is Brian calling back.
Hey, Brian, welcome back. Hey, the show's almost over, so while I have you on the line, are you watching tonight's game? We have number 8 Kentucky versus number 7 UConn to decide the finals.
I have to admit, and I'll probably disappoint you.
I'm crying already.
I don't get into college games.
Oh, not even for the final game of the season?
No.
Okay, well, I'm interested in tonight's game, mainly because back in 2011, because I cover the Big East tournament I've done it probably 5 out of the last 6 years I've covered the Big East tournament at Madison Square Garden. The Big East has changed a lot, though, because none of the same teams are in here. Pitt, UConn, Syracuse, certain teams at Louisville, they've left. They're not here anymore. So
when I lost interest? When the UNLV and Duke rivalry ended. That's when I lost interest.
Well, okay. Well, I've still been interested, especially since I cover a lot of it. But this was back in, I think it was 2011, when UConn, they played 5 games in 5 days at the Big East tournament. They went on to win the national championship that year, and I was so hyped for that team. And I remember Shabazz Napier being on that team then as well. And now he's a senior, playing well for UConn. And that UConn team is going up against an all 5 freshmen. Well, all 5 of the starters for Kentucky are freshmen. There's Randall Young, the Harrison twins, Dakari Johnson, and
Ouch. You know, he was surprised to me. He looks like a player.
Who?
The coach of UConn.
Yeah, that's oh goodness, his name. Ali.
This dude looks like he can suit up any minute now.
Ali, I can't remember. His first name is escaping me, but he used to play in the NBA.
In the NBA, he looks like he could be in college. Yeah, he looks like he's a senior in college.
Yeah, he's still Kevin Ali is his name. He used to play. He was in the league for quite some time though. He had a solid career while he was here. More of a role player than anything, but he's been doing a great job at UConn. Remember last year UConn didn't even make the tournament because they had academic issues.
With eligibility.
They weren't even able to play. So the 1 seeds are gone. UConn's playing well this entire time. Remember Kentucky even started this season as the preseason. When the preseason rankings came out, Kentucky was number 1. They lost a couple games here and there and they dropped down. So that's why they're the 8th seed now. But before the season started, they were a number 1, ranked team. So it's no surprise that Kentucky is here in the finals. It's just the number that's in front of, it's just the ranking that's more of an issue. But I think tonight's game should be great. I'm going to be pulling for UConn only because I've covered them for so long when they were actually here in the Big East. And I like the fact that Kevin Ali has taken this, team, and only his second year, coaching this team, and is great success, great success. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
you picked the right team.
I hope so. We'll see tonight. The Knicks are almost out of the playoffs for the most part. They lost yesterday against the Miami Heat. J.R. Smith launched up a NBA record 22 threes, actually hit 10 of them, which is also a record in itself. But the Knicks still lost that game, and even with that said, they're still trailing the Hawks. They're a game and a half behind the Hawks right now for that 8th spot. And the Hawks won yesterday, and they beat the Indiana Pacers, who are faltering right now, too. So it's weird what's happening in the East for this playoff picture. While the Nets are still in it, the Knicks are not hanging on for dear life. They're still trying to make the playoffs by the skin of their teeth. The Pacers are falling out inside the locker room in front of the media. You watch it. They're booing them. They only scored 23 points in the first half of yesterday's game. They weren't in it all. This is they're literally falling apart right before our very eyes.
Unfortunately, I tell you, the Knicks, there's nothing wrong with that team, like we discussed before. There's nothing wrong with the team, and they don't need to change the coach either. The guy is fine. Yeah. It's fine. He's just got to be a better motivator of
the players that he has.
And he has to play that bench. That's the only thing that he needs to do. Other than that, it's fine. And I'm waiting to see what happens with, I don't want to go back to football, but I want to see what happens with Michael Vick.
Yeah, that'll be interesting too. I can't wait till the preseason, the OTAs and whatnot start, because they're making it seem like the job is up for grabs. And too bad for Geno Smith, but Mark Sanchez is gone. So that job, they wouldn't even name him the starter last year when there was really nobody behind him anyway. So we'll see how these two, and I love it too. This Harlem Station, I'm black. I'm assuming you're black. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But not that has everything to do with anything, but I do like seeing young black quarterbacks, especially at that position.
It's becoming the norm now.
Exactly, at a position that was historically white or Caucasian. The talent that we're able to see these days is just amazing to me. So I like the fact that in a league where having a black quarterback was sort of rare, and now we have 2 black quarterbacks starting fighting for the starting position. So that's awesome for me. I gotta let you go because the next show is actually already here in the studio. But thank you for calling in. I appreciate it, man.
Nice, Chichi.
All right, talk to you next week.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to another edition of Sports at the Half. I'm your host, Chichi and Uncle. I'll be back next week, Monday, and we'll talk more basketball, more football, more baseball, anything you guys want. Up next, we have Inside Housing with Nellie Hester-Bailey. Keep it locked. WHCR 90.3 FM, the official voice of Harlem. Don't change it. Oh, and come party with us, please. Oh, my God, I'm so excited. Saturday, April the 12th from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. WHCR is having a house party fundraiser, and you can pay at the door as you like. So your donation can be what you feel you want it to be, and it's from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. so we can party all night. We have our own WHCR DJs who host shows here on the station that are going to be spinning all night for us. It's going to be at Farafina Cafe. That's at 1819 Amsterdam Avenue at 150th Street. I will be there Saturday, April the 12th from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. I will be there. You guys come and party with us. And I don't know if I'll be wearing a name tag or something, but if you come, when you get to the door, say that you listen to Sports at the Half and you want to come party with us, and let them know at the door, give your donation, and let's have a good time. I'm excited. I can't wait.